Hi, I'm Cary Sherburne, Senior Editor at WhatTheyThink.com, and I'm here with John Foley, who is CEO of Grow Socially. You're an animal on social media.
I don't know if I'd call myself an animal, but thanks for having me, Cary. And yeah, I mean, I see some great adoption here in the print industry in regards to social media and how it can be integrated into the channels that they produce today.
You know, I think it's still a little bit of a struggle for people. Maybe you could share with us some of the best practices that you've seen out there with folks, and what are some of the tools that are available to help them get started? Because, you know, as well as I do, that many printers, I mean, the operational stress of just getting the day-to-day work out is like horrendous, and so to add this extra thing on is, you know, they don't have time, or they don't have time to do it consistently, which you have to do. So what are some of the best practices that you're seeing, and how can, you know, how can people use other tools to help them?
If there's any advice that I could give to any service provider, print service provider, marketing service provider, whatever that term is you want to use, is you've got to have a plan. And you know, this is really no different than a discussion that I would have if you brought me in to speak on marketing basics. We have to have a plan. We have to have a strategy. Best practices is not to do the tactical thing first. Oh, let's create a Facebook page. And you know, most 9 out of 10 times when I get the call, the CEO's going, you know, this isn't working. You know, what's all this social media thing? And that's because there was no strategy. And you know, when should you post, and how should you post, and what content? Best practice is, you know, not to talk about yourself all day. And folks struggle with, well, what does that mean? Where can I get content that is relevant? And you know, content is king in this environment, and content is king everywhere. But you know, in this environment, you really need, they struggle where they can get that content, and it really can be sharing other people's information that's relevant to the target audience. So that's you know, right off the bat is to make sure you have a strategy and plan, and then execute consistently. I mean, I know you've seen the sites where you go to them and no one's updated their Facebook page in 6 weeks. And if we were to sit here for, you know, a half an hour to talk about the strategy and search engine optimization, social media is so instrumental in helping that organic search. If you stop, then you're not helping your own cause out there. And it is a web page where people can find you. So.
Yeah, one of the things that I've done is I've implemented, or I use TweetDeck, and other people choose Hootsuite. I think you use Hootsuite, right?
Yeah, Hootsuite, TweetDeck. You know, there's all kinds of tools. There's a new one. I just saw it yesterday. I'm sorry I forgot the name, but yes, those are good tools to be able to manage multiple sites. You know, but you still have to populate them. And what time do we need to post? Right now, if you don't mind, I'll tell a quick story. I always tell a story about when should you post if you were trying to reach my 2 teenage boys. And because I'm trying to get them to understand the relevance of timing, and you know, when would you post these things? And you know, they go to school every day. So yes, they could read it in their Facebook feed, but would be more optimal maybe if it popped up while they were on Facebook, after school, before school, or before they go to bed, or in the later evening. So same thing to our target audience. You know, today, I think most professionals will get on early when they first start, maybe before they get to the office, lunchtime, then after work at the end of the day, and then in the evening. So maybe that's when, depending on the target demographic that you're trying to reach in social networks, maybe that's something that you want to look at.
You know, it's no different from how people used to think about when to put a certain TV commercial on.
Right. Oh yeah. You know, it's funny that we talk about these different. This is really another channel to me, and then these are medias, you know, Facebook, whatever. And it really is just an evolution of another way to reach your target demographics. And so, target audience.
In terms of you know, finding content to share, I mean, do you have some suggestions for people about how to do that? Because you can't just like tweet out every day, oh, 50% off on flyers, or get your business cards here. That doesn't. I mean, you can do that, but that's not the core thing.
Well, a lot of times I ask them to, you know, to look inside, and if you have a print service provider that puts out a monthly newsletter or maybe a magazine, all that content is right there, and it could be information on, maybe it's best practices in one-to-one marketing, maybe it's personalized print, maybe, you know, and it's a white paper, or it's an ebook or whatever. They could start there. Now, on top of that, I always like to talk about, you know, target marketing as a magazine. Does that information relevant to the people that I help and service in my community? If it is, then maybe I could share that information. And what we suggest is that you build a matrix of where can I get this content, and then when am I going to post it.
You know, one of the things that I find really helpful is just, you know, being pretty selective about who I follow on Twitter, because you don't want a lot of junk. I mean, I go through and clean it out periodically, but I don't get a lot of junk. I get a lot of great, I mean, people are sharing a lot of great links and a lot of great ideas. And
well, there's so much, I mean, yeah, I'm on social media all the time, but there's so much information to learn.
Yeah.
If you want to learn about a subject, right away go on Twitter and find that information, or you can find it maybe in LinkedIn for sure if you're trying to research a company, or it's the information is right at your fingertips, and it's fast.
Yeah.
I mean, we see this, unfortunately, these tragedies, but with Japan as an example. But when someone's on, we have feet in the street right there, there isn't a reporter that can beat them there if they're on Twitter sharing that information. And that the speed of communication is just, so much faster.
You know, the other thing that, because I'm not as advanced at this as you are, of course, but I start, when you start thinking about hashtags, so for example, I was recently at an HP event and they set up a hashtag for the event, so you're, including that as you tweet about what's going on in the event, and then that gets you to a whole another set of people that wasn't even following you in the first place. Right. They see you there, and then anytime I do that, I end up with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 more people following me.
Well, I have actually customers here today that I did not know that was here, that was going to be here, and because they saw me check in, I actually use Foursquare or Facebook Places, they saw me check in on Foursquare. They said, hey, I'm here too, so I'll meet them today.
That's great.
I mean, how great is that?
Yeah.
Where, we have many customers, so it's hard for me to get, but now that I know that they're here, I'll reach out and see them.
Yeah.
The fun part today was no one had set up in Foursquare, which is a social media application, a destination spot here, so I set it up. I checked in yesterday, I checked in today, and now I'm the mayor of On Demand Expo.
Oh, that's great.
Right? So, and that's really, just another tool that I can use in marketing or whatever, say, look, I'm here, I'm doing the things I said that you should try to do to yourself to expose your own business and, promote it using social media.
Yeah, a lot of great advice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's good to see you.